Hey, I was trying to figure out how I would start the next video, and I just landed on how I'm going to start the next video. I get comments on a lot of any video where I covered the putting your survival tent at your camp. I get asked the question, why would you do that? Right here is the reason why I do this. If you load into a world and your survival town is just, somewhere out, down by the Queen or something, if your camp is blocked, you load into the world, you get loaded into the middle of somebody else's camp, and you just get your camp couldn't be loaded, okay? Like, suck a dick, okay? If your survival tent is part of your camp, you get the old warning like you used to get before they gave us a survival tent that used to say your camp cannot be placed. Would you like to just go to another fucking world instead of loading into this world where all your shit is not at? Because probably the reason you're playing is to sell shit out of your vendor. This really streamlines that process for a survival tent that I've been playing the game long enough. I don't need it because I know somebody else is going to have their tent at the event. I know where the workbenches are in the world. I played for years without this. I don't need this. Now all this is a convenience for me to solve this problem. Now I can go, boom, and it'll do this probably 18 fucking times before it can find a world somehow with the magnificent technology that we have in 2024 that doesn't have a camp place where my camp is, because apparently my camp at the unpopular place is also at the popular place. That's not even really what my goal of the video today was. So now I don't know how I'm going to title the video. Maybe that's just the rant sauce that gets to go on top of the video that I was intending to. We'll see how many times we have to do this. We'll see, how it progresses out. But if you notice, I'm using a different video card because that was the other thing that came up as we were talking about. Everybody was like, "Oh, 120 frames, like that was crazy." To me, I'm upset that I have to limit frames with this game. But that brings up another topic. With the AMD card, I had to limit frames to 120 or I would get the motion lock, where especially like inside of here, um at 165 frames, I'm fine on Nvidia. With the AMD card, it would still lock up at 165. I had to cut all the way down to 120 to get to where it wouldn't lock up in here. And I mean, at 130, it was fine, except when if I used this machine, after using this machine, I wouldn't be able to move. I wouldn't be able to walk away from it. But coincidentally, with an NVIDIA card, it has no problem going back up to my 165 frames that I run, that my refresh rate of my monitor is, hertz, but that brings up the other half of what I wanted to address is, everybody commented on that. I felt like the vibe was that was a good frame rate, and that, it was impressive maybe, or maybe I read the room wrong. That card would do better than that about this, but not, it wasn't like that card would do 500 frames per second in this game. This is NVIDIA's quote unquote, I mean, they call it it's an enthusiast card, but it's the very bottom rung. The 4060 is the lowest tier of 4000 series card that they will tell you is for gaming explicitly. And I mean, it's not anything in comparison to a 7900 XTX. It's not even close. But in this game, it's I mean, you can't see from a video how it feels, but the latency, like the way that it feels like that what you're moving your mouse is moving your screen, is so much tighter with this card that the only reason I'll go back to the 7900 is if I go back to Linux. Because on Linux, the experience is much better on AMD than it is NVIDIA. But on Windows, where everything's supposed to be the level playing field, right? It's absolutely incomparable. And I felt that was worth mentioning. I guess I firstly was surprised. Um, and I mean, I'll get into more of the why in a minute here, but there you go, Todd. But that's why I put the survival tent here. Okay, I don't need that. Everything I need at this camp is at this camp. But when I put this here, I get the warning when I load in, so I don't have to fucking load in if I don't want to. So that's what that's about. But I mean, I guess to keep this on, we're talking about the performance, and I don't know, I can't say, I don't feel like I would be doing anything different than anybody else is doing to get the frame rates that I'm getting, because the knowledge to do that has been out for so long. But I mean, we can just close this. And I mean, just to be transparent here, I'm recording on the card. So, I mean, the card has to do that also. Okay. And it's the HEVC codec at 20,000 bits is what I'm recording at. Everybody knows about the INI files that are in your My Documents and then My Games folder. So I mean, that's common knowledge. Everybody has a custom INI. This one happens to be one of the ones from the many times that Angry Turtles covered the subject. And he's went into as far as, spacing off and putting in explanations so you can know, and you put a little dash if you don't want it to be active, or you take away the dash if you do want it to be active. But I mean, the only things that can really change anything as far as performance, and again, that's only dependent on where you are on the map. I feel anyway that I've noticed is this grass. Allow create grass 0. And then everybody knows that you got to go into the preferences INI, and you got to come down here to the I present interval, and you got to change it from a 1 to a 0, or your frame rate's going to be locked at 60 no matter what you do. And that's one that I change this way. Some people put it in the custom INI and change it in there. I find that if I put it in the custom INI and change it in there, it doesn't do shit. So that's one setting that I change in the hard files of the game. The game has the 3 files, the custom, the once you put the custom there, and it has just the base one, but I don't make any changes in this one. This one, it seems like this is where the custom will overwrite, but it doesn't seem like the custom overwrites anything in the preferences one. And then somebody was asking about how to limit frames on NVIDIA specifically. You right click your desktop and you have the NVIDIA control panel, and it's just under manage 3D settings. I just do it globally because there's no reason for me, because I don't play competitive games, to go over my monitor's refresh rate. So I just set the max frame rate to 165 for everything, and it just does what it does. Intel PresentMon is what I use to capture the frame rates. I find that has the best compatibility. I don't have any problems. Like, I don't have to dick around no matter what game or whatever. Sometimes the auto target doesn't work. You just unclick this, and then you under process, you'll have a drop down menu, and you select whatever game. But I find that that gives me the best results, so I use that. But I mean, I don't do anything different. So I mean, there's no reason that you shouldn't be getting the same frame rates, basically. So if you're not, hopefully the things I showed, everything that matters. Um, I don't change full screen borderless. I leave it borderless because I find that that's how they wanted this. That's how they intended this to run. So it just kind of everything for me anyway seems to run better that way. Like I don't get any better performance going to full screen. In fact, the issue that happens with full screen is if the game crashes and locks me from getting to my desktop, like I'll, alt tab or control alt delete and my desktop will just be black and I'll have to use the power switch on my computer to restart my computer. Well, I don't like that. If I use the borderless window, at least if the game freezes, locks up, I can get out here to my desktop and I can do, whatever, so on and so forth that I need to with my desktop. Um, but I mean, that should cover it. And I hope that the rant about the 10 at the beginning, um, that doesn't really need to be there, but I hope that that kind of maybe paints the picture for why that is a thing, maybe for some people. But hopefully this solves some performance issues or questions. So until the next one, I've been Seven.